Hear a water tower being built.
I can't say that I have.
Bang,
What's-
bang, bang, bang. And that's what I got aside, it was terrible.
So
And
you were trying to teach 7th grade, and this noise was going on
yes,
and on and
yes,
on.
yes.
And they're not easily distracted at all. So it's,
Seventh grade.
No,
is.
yeah.
No.
Anyway,
Especially in Iowa.
But why Iowa? You were
What?
you were living in Idaho. How did you end up in Iowa?
I went with
Ada
my
was there.
sister,
Why did
and
she
she
go to
was
Iowa?
teaching in high school.
Is this because all the opportunities were in Iowa? What was the attraction in Iowa?
Because she was there and they needed a 7th grade teacher.
They needed one. And she had her, she'd completed her
2
schooling?
years.
Only 2?
Oh, no.
And you too?
We were, I don't know where she was. But anyway, when we were finished there, I moved back and I worked in a banker's insurance company in Lincoln to establish Nebraska residency.
Oh, it worked that way back then.
And then, after I established residency, I could enroll at the university as an
As a resident.
as a resident.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference.
So how long did that take? 1 or 2 years in Nebraska?
How long were you at this insurance place? Do you remember?
2 years.
2 years.
Wow. So you had a
Whoa.
3-year hiatus in the middle of high school?
Yeah.
No,
College.
Yeah.
I always thought it was 1 year. Wow.
No. And so finally, I enrolled at the university, and the music person was a wonderful man, really. And I learned after I had graduated that he had been in this little town in Idaho where he had, I think he did something, taught maybe. So he said, when he told my mother and dad at my senior recital that he had taught there, I thought, oh my goodness, I should have known that before. That would have made such a difference. Just the idea that
The
he had
connection.
had.
Yeah.
He'd been from
And I
Idaho.
figured that's how he kind of got a tag on me when I came in, and I was from Idaho. Yeah. So he knew about the school I went to in Idaho. Yeah, anyway.
Did they count your 2 years?
What?
Did your 2 years at Idaho count toward your?
Yeah, it was toward music. It was
So
good.
you did 2 more years at Nebraska?
Yeah.
Just junior and senior year.
Yeah.
When was the golf team thing? When did you play golf?
When I was at the university. Oh, when I went back and went to a summer school at the university. I went
Of Nebraska?
in Nebraska. By the way, yeah, I have two pictures of Ed's form and my form. Yeah, which we had.
Mom, you're not competitive or anything, are you?
No,
No.
except that
That almost ruined your marriage. That almost ruined your marriage.
no.
Well, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I had no idea of either of those things, that you went to
I
college in
worked
Nebraska,
so hard to
in
get
Idaho first.
to get my education. I really did.
And you paid for it you
Hard
paid
work.
for it in Idaho by alfalfa seeds?
No, I messed that up. It was sweet
Clover.
clover.
You
Sweet
grew clover seeds? You grew clover.
That was
Red
when I-
clover.
And how did you pay for college with clover?
How to pay for?
How did you pay for college with clover?
Oh yeah, when it was harvested, they put it. That was. Do you like that? That was a funny. It gets into a big bag, and it's worth You know, a big bag is worth a couple $100.
Really?
Oh, yeah. But my dad, you know, having had it shelled and it was all in a bag, and he felt it was his, because he wasn't sure that was my clover, so I went to the bursar, and I said, I don't have any money yet, but I have a bag of red clover.
You told the college bursar this.
I told him I had a bag of red clover seed, and
Won't get you very far at Penn.
I don't have money yet, but
it did.
I do.
She doesn't
But-
remember
but-
the details.
But your dad wasn't going to give you the clover?
well, I somehow mother knew I had earned that clover.
How do you pick clover?
But somewhat.
How do you pick clover seeds? Like tweezers?
And then you shell
A
them.
thresher.
A thresher.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do they have seeds?
Where are the seeds?
Apparently,
Oh, in the flowers maybe?
if they don't, the story would be like.
Where
Where are the seeds?
where are the clover seeds? In the flower?
No. The clover is so beautiful. It grows up and it's green like an alfalfa, but on the top of these red are these blossoms
Yes.
that turn into seed.
Oh, like the little clover flower.
Huh?
Sure, the seed
Yeah.
pops out of the flower.
And there's seed at the
Yeah.
top, and when they seed and when they are ripe, then you just thresh them, and they are seed that you can replant somewhere or sell. And there was a good market for clover seed,
Apparently so.
and that's why my dad didn't want us to get rid of it, because he was going to.
Mom, I thought you said Grandpa Harms credited someone else for that clover.
Well, he always gave any credit like that went to Howard. Yeah, but I don't.
How did you plant the clover?
That's curious.
Yeah, was it an acre? Was it 2 acres? Half an acre? What was it?
My mother was my helper, believe me, because we had old Jip, and we had to rogue all of the sagebrush and get rid of the sagebrush.
Because that's invasive there, right?
What?
That was invasive, the sagebrush.
No, sagebrush is indigenous, so it's big and it gets big humps. And we had this old Melby. No, we had Jip, and
Who's Jip?
Your
the
horse?
Horse.
And I didn't know horses, but mother did. And so we got this rig, my mother, and we got to be able to rogue all of the
Sage. Sagebrush.
sagebrush away and clear the property, and then we got to harrow something and make it smooth, and then we had to get water from, which was runoff water that people weren't using. So we watered it with excess water, because in the fields there were men that had their water, and we weren't using it. They'd have a runoff, and so this was water that came in an excess. And I used that water to get on the field, and it's not so
Wow.
strange.
How do you collect runoff water?
What?
How did you collect runoff water?
Well,
Do you remember?
ditches are ditches.
No, but did you put them in a jug and cart it off? I mean,
You make a little trail, and the water
You
finds
guide
its
it
way.
there.
Water has a way of
Like a
finding
trough.
downhill,
Little trough. Yeah.
Yeah.
as long as you keep going downhill.
But so when you got to University of Nebraska finally as a junior, how old were you?
Well, the year I after the clover, I didn't want to do any more of that sort of thing, so I worked in this honey factory, labeling honey, my junior. And this hot honey came on the belt, and there was a quart jar, and it came on the belt hot honey, and I took it in one hand and put it into a labeler, and then took it out with the other hand and put it there. My hands were totally,
You must have been calloused touching
callous,
the
no, blisters.
blisters.
Yeah.
No gloves or anything.
This is pre-OSHA.
What?
No gloves, right?
Yeah, no OSHA.
No gloves, no, you pick up the honey and you put it in there and you take it out and God help you. And I have a labeler for them on my, which I have to activate with my foot in the meantime. And of course, if you don't get it just right, it breaks the honey. So I
Did
had,
that happen?
once in a while, I'd have honey feet.
Standing in honey.
Honey feet.
Standing in honey.
Well, just spilling honey on that, if one of these jars broke.
But the assembly line keeps going.
But you keep going, yeah.
How about bathroom breaks?
What?
How about bathroom breaks?
I don't think we had any. They had no place to go anyway. No,
Wow.
I mean,
Where was this? This was in Idaho?
yeah. In Wendell.
In
Was this
Wendell,
during
Idaho.
high school or during college?
She said her junior year,
Yeah.
she was trying to go out for
It was when I didn't do clover, then I went to do honey the next summer.
But Mom, you also worked at the insurance company. Did you save up some money at the insurance job you had?
Well, that's where I had enough money to pay for tuition for college. Oh, little things,
Thank you, Lynn.
big things.
I recall you telling a story where your older siblings helped the younger siblings pay for college.
Oh, well, then we got to that, yeah, because when I went to the university then, Ada was teaching and she had sent me money and then I sent John money and, we were, because he was in veterinarian, he was studying.
Yeah, so Uncle John, they helped each other.
Oh, well, there you go. Hang on.
So wait, John, you put through veterinary school.
Oh, yes. Uncle John he came back from the military. And he finished his college education and then he went into veterinarian school out in Washington State. Yeah, but he needed
But
money.
he's older than you are. John is
He
older.
had been 6 years in the Marines.
Oh, right, because he was in South Pacific
But he was sending Ada money to go to school.
when he was in the Marines.
Not Marines, yes. He sent her. It was a deduct from his pay, a certain amount he had, I think. So that was.
Where was he in the Was he in Iwo Jima or Guam or somewhere there?
He was in South Pacific for 6 years.
Yeah, that wasn't a good place to be, though.
It was okay for him because they found out he could type, and he wrote up the whatever they had to have typed up. When they found he could type, he made
Wow.
his way.
Who knew typing could be life-saving?
Yeah.
Huh?
Who knew typing could be
It
life-saving?
was for him.
Wow. But so, the question, when you graduated from college at Nebraska, how old were you then?
Then we were sending money to John, and as much anytime we had money, we distributed it as we could, and we made him sure he was getting something because he had by then three children. I don't know. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't send Lindy any money in college.
Yes,
Hey,
Make up for it now?
yeah. But, so,
I guess everybody has their alfalfa seed story. I sandblasted electric motors and emptied transformer cases of noxious chemicals. And,
drove a truck around.
so I guess everybody
well,
has their thing.
I
well,
worked at Talbot's.
you know,
I worked at the movie theater.
I try not to remember all those things because I have many new experiences in my life that I appreciate more. And once we were married and we traveled, those are the things I really like and focus on.
I showed some people the pictures of us in Milan at the cathedral with you all dressed up with your hat and your high heels and everything, and everybody says, "Wow, she was so stylish. She was just so out there," and that's the way you were when you were.
Well, once my life was buying one pair of high heels every time I got a paycheck.
That's a woman after
You
my
come
own
by it
heart.
honestly.
Really?
Yes, I wore high heels walking around teaching. Yeah,
Oh, the boys
No,
must have been
no car, but I had to,
Sneakers.
and I had to go from school to school. Anyway,
school to school in Iowa,
no.
No, now we're in Nebraska.
back in Nebraska,
Yeah.
when you were teaching music.
Yeah.
But
in
you had
Iowa.
your high heels on.
Anyway,
The boys must have been crazy.
I'm living through everything all in of a
Lydia's
sudden.
glass because yours is being busy,
It's all
right?
right, we're sharing.
That's the way it's been happening. Yeah, mine's providing an essential
know.
service here.
I hear that. Good stick, Mom.
Well, that's fascinating, Mom. I've learned more tonight than I thought I could possibly know about your history. I didn't know any of this, or I'd forgotten it, which is
Glad I
terrible.
made it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, when we were married, Ed had worked, in the summers, he worked in the car factories in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were not all nice jobs. And one was where he's lying under the car and sparks flew down and burned his clothes. Oh. But he,
Honey or sparks, just all sorts of
yeah, one of the biggest sparks.
occupational hazards. Yeah, he told me about that in the trenches underneath the assembly line,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
whatever, welding on
Yeah, he told you.
exhaust systems or something. What he was
Yeah.
doing, yeah.
Well, then he got better jobs because he could do anyway.
Welding, didn't he weld?
He grew in
Oh,
the
that was the welding.
made himself more
Type? Did he type?
Yeah, he could type. He could type. But
It's amazing though, back then it was feasible to put yourself through school, through college with various work that you could do.
yeah, I hope,
Whereas now,
hope everybody's
That wouldn't
listening.
pay
Pretty
for
much
your
impossible to put,
books.
unless, yeah,
No,
it's
I
really,
guess there are some sort of
well, tuition wasn't that great,
what was
and
tuition?
then I had this music teacher who I didn't know his background, but he knew mine just because he was Idaho and I was. So when I came in, I had this Idaho background.
So did he,
He was more chivalrous than he needed to be, but anyway. So
Mommy, Dad was an older student at Nebraska. He was older, Dad. But you were older too, because you had taken 3 years off.
yeah, my old dad was older,
But you were also older, right? Because you had taken 3 years off.
sure.
Was that normal though at that time?
Well, I didn't tell him how old I was.
they didn't ask for like an ID?
And that was normal, not to tell.
No, but
You're a rebel.
but when I taught, I made money and I paid back as much as I could to anyone that I owed money to. But I never owned a car,
That's right.
I had
But you learned to drive when you were like 12 or something.
14.
Oh.
I had a
Oh,
license
oh.
when I was 14.
Yeah.
Only for driving,
Tractor.
no,
No.
only driving in the daylight.
But you could drive anything.
Specific
Oh.
license for
Leave it.
daylight?
I slid down.
Oh.
What's that?
We're just wondering if this can be saved or.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
You know, some
Oh,
people
don't throw
love
it
to
out.
have
Love
it
that.
saved.
It's good food.
I think ultra stress.
But so why would you drive at 14? Why did you need to drive?
Yes.
Oh, I was crazy to drive. We
You
had
just
a,
wanted to.
I wanted to.
What did you drive?
Well, we had a car. Let's see what we had. We had we got the Chevrolet later. I don't know what kind of car it was. It was a vehicle.
It was a car, not a truck. Did you have a farm truck? Did Grandpa have a truck too? Did Grandpa Harms drive a truck?
Oh, he worked at a truck. Yeah. His truck was to shell corn. And,
So he had a truck.
yeah, but he spent more money getting it devised to drive it and shell corn.
Okay.
And then he went around and nobody needed corn shelled,
Oh
so
no.
it was a useless thing.
But why were you so eager to drive?
Freedom.
Because at 14, it was just the thing you wanted to do.
You wanted to show off those high heels.
I didn't have high heels.
At 14. That was college.
And we had, school was let out for potato harvest for the war, yeah.
They let school out so the students could help with the potato
Not
harvest.
really. So you had to go out and work in the fields
They
harvesting.
had to go out.
Huh?
This was mandatory.
Yeah. You were,
Wow.
school
For how
was,
long?
for,
So they just let you out early, like in April or
2
something?
weeks, I think.
2 weeks. Okay.
As long as the potatoes were harvested and put into bags.
We've never been allowed to buy anything but Idaho potatoes. Maine potatoes are like toxic poison.
So was that
around
in the
here.
fall? That was in the fall that you harvested? Fall. Yeah.
Potatoes are harvested when potatoes are harvested. Yes, and
Clearly.
Seems reasonable.
yes, and
Which I have no idea of when potatoes are
do you
harvested.
ever-
When they're ready, I
It's a
imagine.
it's a late summer harvest.
yeah,
Even Thanksgiving, you can be harvesting. potatoes.
that's too late for Idaho
Not for us,
potatoes.
but yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
These potatoes were sent, those are Idaho potatoes, and those are something.
Prize the world over.
Uh-huh,
You sent them off to the soldiers?
I think so.
So where did you drive to? At 14 years old, where did you go?
Parties.
Parties. The movies?
Just because I could drive,
Oh,
I did.
just around?
Huh?
Just
No,
around?
I didn't waste gas around.
Oh,
Thank you. If you get in
Well,
a
gas
car-
was rationed, wasn't it?
Well,
So how much gas what did gas cost? How much did gas cost?
25 cents a gallon,
Oh, that's pretty steep. Really?
if you could get it.
If you could get it.
But you have to have gas tickets.
Coupons, yeah.
You have coupons.
Do you know, Mom gave out.
What was that job you had, or you volunteered in the town hall or the school or something, and you stamped people's ration cards or something?
That was
What
in
did you
high
do?
school.
What did you do?
Well, you're just sitting as a high school student. One of our little chores and jobs was to issue ration cards.
During the
Rationing.
war.
Oh, yeah.
Butter.
We had lots of things rationed.
Like,
Well,
Coffee.
coffee was one. Yeah.
Butter.
And then what? Well, things got. We had no butter. We didn't have sugar. We had substitutes.
That's one thing I remember fairly distinctly about time with Grandpa Harms. Was sitting at a table, if there was a piece of bread and there was butter, if you put butter on your bread, you better eat that butter.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's no such thing as wasting butter.
No.
You have the butter, but you better eat that butter, because the
That's
butter
very
was
precious.
pretty precious commodity.
Do you remember that?
I do, yeah, I remember that.
Very good.
Yeah.
But you know what Mom did? There was a Mormon lady that came up for her ration card, and Mom knew that they don't drink coffee. So Mom took the coffee ration stamp out of her book,
Oh,
and the woman got very upset. Not because she wanted the coffee. Why? Why did she get upset?
so she could prove she didn't have coffee.
Oh, because she didn't use her ration card.
Oh, I thought it was much more nefarious than that.
It's a funny thing you remember that
Wow, who knew?
ration. But that,
So Mom was clever, thinking, "Oh, they don't need their coffee. I can."
Were you planning like selling that on the black market? What was the point?
I just knew she was a Mormon and they didn't drink coffee, so I took it out. But she wanted it there to prove she didn't drink coffee.
Sounds like a waste of a ration card.
Exactly, that's what Mom thought.
Oh well,
Ration.
I learned a lot about Mormons in that
But you
time.
did. Like, they don't drink coffee.
It was like the best hits of Mom's stories. Do we miss any?
Well, yeah, we probably best not get into the Mormons right now. We'll just go watch the Book of Mormon. We'll learn all we need to know.